Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today, we're revisiting the 7 Sabers build. This is kind of a re-examination of a build that I came up with when we first had, the ability to do 7 lightsabers in one build. That came not long after Darth Maul came out for the Separatists in Star Wars Legion. We're going to be trying to make this one a little bit more competitive. And I'll explain the reasoning behind this one, and this is kind of in preparation for a tournament. So I'm curious about your feedback. I know some of my builds tend to be more thematic and more fun, and I think this one, is risky, but kind of leans into the competitive aspect without necessarily being ultra competitive. So I think it should be fun, but also should have some winning potential. But we'll see how this one works out. I do want to thank today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. Be sure to check out Luxury Playstyle's amazing tokens for Star Wars Legion. There are order tokens, there are combat tokens, we got damage, suppression, aims, dodge, standby, surge, you name it. We've got them over there. They're amazing. You're going to save 15% if you use code Crabbok VIP, and orders of $35 or more are going to get a free lightsaber nunchuck token thrown in. So definitely check that out. You're going to love them. Also, we are still giving away a $25 Amazon gift card. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. Also, go ahead and like the video too and share it with your friends. Let us know what you are thinking about. I am using Tabletop Admiral today. Great list builder. And we're going to be putting the basics of what exactly is 7 sabers. So Grievous has 4 lightsabers. And, at least in the way that I have him built currently, he's holding 4 lightsabers. And so Dooku has 1. That makes 5. And Maul has a double-bladed, which counts as 2 more. So that's where we get the basis for 7 sabers. It has all 3 lightsaber-wielding characters available for the Separatists currently, all in one build. It's a little bit obscene because with just these 3 guys, we're already over 500 points at 510 points right now. Now, this is a little bit overkill. I think most people probably don't run something like this, but there's a couple of reasons why I wanted to kind of center a build based on these 3 characters. One big thing about them is that they're all strong, but I think the thing that kind of motivates me to, in addition to them just being fun and having lightsaber characters and being cool, is the fact that there's a big, I think, a resurgence of ionization coming out right now. A lot of people are running Separatists with the super tactical droid, and a lot of people are running this dwarf spider droid with the ion guns, and there's a lot of vehicles that are out there. So I think ion is coming back a little bit, and to run Separatists without your biggest weapons being able to be ionized. I mean, Grievous is not a droid trooper. Dooku is just a regular trooper, and Maul is a regular trooper. So I'm really running biological characters in the Separatist list, which I thought was kind of cool, and it might be a little surprising because someone might think, hey, wait a second, you're running Separatist, so Ion's going to work really well on you, and I don't think it will. And so I think this is kind of something of an all-comers list. I think it could be very versatile. I won't have a whole lot in the long-range department, but we have ways to deal with that, and we'll talk about that in some of the way that we're going to build out these heroes. Because we're going to put a couple of other things in this list. Now, I'm going to add one more unit right off the bat, and that's because we have Maul in here. I am going to add the Sith probe droids. The Sith probe droids are a 35-point activation. It's a way to get an extra activation into this list. It's the cheapest way to get an extra activation into a Separatist list, and of course you do have to have them all there to begin with, but they're pretty good. They're going to really help out, especially with my Jedi, or I should say my Sith, and I tend to sometimes just apply Jedi to any lightsaber force wielders, but yeah, I'm going to put the Sith probe droids out here. They're going to help out quite a bit, and of course they're incognito, so they're harder to get killed, which is a really fun thing. So I like them. But yeah, let's focus on the principles behind this, because this is a revisiting to this build, and we've got some new things. We've got force speed. We've got some other things that I'm gonna put into this build that have come out since the last time I tried to do a 7 sabers build. So I'm gonna start off with Grievous. Grievous is probably gonna be my least built up character in this one, and the idea is that Grievous is the one that I probably expect to lose first, because I'll be particularly aggressive with Grievous. I think he's going to take some damage, so I do want to give him tenacity as a training upgrade, and I will give him his pistol, although I feel like as this list evolves, the pistol is something that could come out of the list. Now, why could I bring that out of the list? That's a very interesting question, because there is a 1-pip for Grievous that lets him still shoot with a specific weapon, and I feel like he doesn't have to have the pistol to play that 1-pip, and as a result, he still gets a ranged attack if you don't bring the pistol. So I feel like that's a way to squeeze 8 more points out of this list if I really needed to. But for right now, I'm not ready to do that yet, because I don't necessarily want to charge him into melee right away. I just want to do it fairly quickly. Now, the Maul and Dooku are going to be the kind of the ones that are built up a little bit more. So Dooku is going to be my Jedi killer, right? He's got Makashi Mastery. If I go up against other characters that are immune to Pierce, I get to use Makashi Mastery and still have Pierce 1 on his lightsaber, and I think that counts for a lot. So I'm going to give Dooku Vigilance for his command. That's going to allow me to keep a dodge token. Now, one thing I'm not going to give Dooku, and this may surprise a lot of people, I'm not going to give him Force Reflexes. I'm not going to be running any Force Reflexes in this build, even though he has Master of the Force 2. I'm going to rely on Vigilance to have him keep his dodge. Again, this is something that could change, but I have something more fun in mind and something from recent games that I want to do with his Force abilities. So we are going to give him Force Push. Force Push is too good, I think, not to include on him. And I'm going to give him Force Lift. Force Lift seems like a more of a jokey or a fun thematic card, but I have found it to be incredibly wonderful, depending on the types of objectives that we end up getting. You can block off access to certain objectives. A lot of other people are not going to be running Force Lift. So if I can put a barricade and block off your access to an objective token that now you cannot touch it, I can do amazing things there. And so I really like that, and it's nasty. Plus, with this many guys, I need to make sure I have heavy cover also, because I'm going to have Dooku, Grievous, and Maul kind of maybe charging into melee and stuff. I'm going to need to make sure I can put some barricades into the right spots, because I can't have these guys out of cover. I just can't. So I think Force Lift is probably more beneficial than Force Reflexes. But we'll see. This is something that could change as this list goes as this list evolves. So this is Force Lift. It's going in right there. Next up, I am going to put Burst of Speed on Dooku. Now, he's not a prime candidate for Burst of Speed because he's already Speed 2. But the cool thing about Burst of Speed is that after he does it, he'll still be able to move the following round. So while he will be Speed 3 for one turn, he will be Speed 1 the next turn, and he'd probably already be where he needs to be by that point. So I think that should work. So yeah, and this is here to kind of address my lack of range. If I can have Dooku play a 1-pip that gives him Relentless, and then all of a sudden he does like 2 Speed 3 moves and charges into your Jedi Luke or what have you. Now all of a sudden, he turns into a fairly long-range threat that way. So I think that's going to be a very exciting way to play him. Maul will be a little bit similar. Maul is also going to have Burst of Speed. Considering Maul can get 3 actions, if he can do 2 Speed 3 moves and then a lightsaber throw, because we're going to give him saber throw as well, that could be pretty incredible. That could be a very, very long-ranged lightsaber attack. And I think that'd be really a fun thing to do to get him into position. I kind of want to play Maul a little bit more conservatively in this particular build, with having Grievous be the one who kind of opens himself up first. And so if Maul can kind of wait till like that turn 4 or 5 to really move in, and then all of a sudden he's now threatening the objective, threatening the board, it could be a beautiful thing. Again, Maul is he'll probably die, but I don't want him to die too early. He's going to always take some damage. We're going to put a command card in there to ensure he gets damage on him, so Tenacity is kind of an auto-include, I feel like, for Maul. But since he is going to be moving with that Burst of Speed, I think that's a good opportunity to put Offensive Push in here, get him that aim, so he kind of gets 4 actions in one turn. So, move, free aim, then move, then attack, and hopefully doing a lot of nastiness on that turn. And that's kind of the basis. That's the core of the 7 Sabers. We're already up to about 600 points with only 4 activations. I do have the probe droids in there. We're going to start with 3 bare bones B1 battle droids, but I'm going to give a medic to one of them in case we get unlucky and take a damage too much early. I feel like the medic in here gives me a little bit of error correction. Now, if I wanted to squeeze some more points and change things around a little bit, I could potentially add another medic. but I don't have a whole lot of points to be able to do that with, especially if I don't want to sacrifice activations. I'm only at 7 activations right now. I am going to add one more activation. We're going to add Stap Riders. The Stap Riders are going to kind of address my weakness in this, that I don't have, very long range. They're going to have the mobility to, maybe deal with enemy snipers is the idea here. Because snipers, even though my guys are immune to pierce, or in Grievous's case, impervious, I still, that poke damage is going to hurt. If I'm getting 3 snipers shooting at me each turn, it's going to hurt. I'm eventually going to roll blanks. It's going to eventually get me. So the Stap Riders can kind of move around the battlefield. They can zip around the battlefield. They can try and get behind some snipers and kind of lessen that threat. And again, that's kind of why I also have the medical droid, is to help for that early poke damage. So I feel like I'm trying to cover my bases against snipers and maintain that all comers. I definitely have a lot of impact on all the lightsabers. So I have that for the vehicle threat. And I've got certainly the expensive character. I've got the Jedi threat covered with all these 3. They're taking care of that. And 8 activations, while that's a low for Separatist armies in general, it's not that low that it's not going to completely kill me. Although it will be about activation 5 or so at the latest that I have to start activating my heavy hitters. And that's kind of why I have kind of designated Grievous as the one to potentially move out first. So now we get to the command card phase, and this part is tricky. So for the command card phase, we only can bring in 6, and we've got a lot of options here. So I went through so many different versions of this. I am going to run Grievous's 1-pip, and this is definitely subject to change. I feel like I want to try, because I have to. One of these 1-pips has to go, right? It's definitely not going to be Dooku's, because I think Dooku is sort of a linchpin. He's the best option I have against other Jedi, against anybody immune to pierce. So I need him to have Relentless. And then Arsenal 2 and Versatile is kind of a cool thing, but the big thing here is Relentless to trigger with his burst of speed, so he can just move in and surprise you. I think that's the most important thing. So that one's 100% going in. Now, Maul is good too. Maul's 1-pip is good here because he gains a dodge. It gives him a dodge. It gives him disengaged, and then when he's engaged, they can't spend aim, dodge, standby, or surge tokens, which means this can really hurt like somebody like Obi-Wan or because I'm looking at him, or Qui-Gon for that matter, who's not in the game. But this can really hurt any like Darth Vader. This can hurt any other Jedi or Force user because they can't spend that dodge. But they're still going to be immune to pierce. All right, so I feel like Dooku's is a little bit better for that. So I have an answer for that already. So I feel like I might not need 2 Jedi killers in the same list. So I don't think so this one kind of gets the cut, at least for this version, right? But Grievous fills a different role, and that's I want to hit. You have all your guys grouped together, and I want to hit everybody. I think Grievous puts out the most damage. So since he fills a role that isn't filled elsewhere in the list, I think this one goes in. Okay. So we've got Dooku, we've got Grievous's 1-pip. Now that's the only Grievous card we're going to use. I'm going to run all of Dooku's. I'm going to run double the fall here. It's decent, and I plan to keep Dooku alive. I plan to keep him safe. He's the one I'm going to be most conservative with throughout most of the game. So I'm okay with kind of having this one. I know I'll have this one kind of later into the game generally. And this can also really mess with fire support. It can mess with, certain cards that are out there which you just don't want to have activated. It's a nice option for a card. Compared to like Grievous's Supreme Commander, which I think is absolute garbage. I think it's one of the worst command cards in the game. I just don't like it at all. You Disappoint Me by Dooku is really nice. And that one's definitely going in. This one really synergizes with everything else, because if Dooku is in a position to shoot, with his Force Lightning, I can pull somebody out into the open or into range of my 2 other melee trucks, which are Maul and Dooku, and really mess things up. So I love You Disappoint Me. Love it. It's fantastic. It's definitely going in here. I got Crush Them here. I think that one's easy to skip. Like this one is maybe, all right, this one's probably even more so the worst card in the game. At least Supreme Commander gives, some surge tokens. All right, so let's look at Mauls. All right, I said why I'm not using Duel of the Fates. I don't have the room for it, and I think it's still very, very good. But in this list, I don't need it as much because I've got Dooku doing that. The Phantom Menace is only good if I want to deploy Maul aggressively, and every time I've done that, I've died. So I'm not going to divulge it with this build because I want to keep these 3 guys alive to the end. All right, or if I can, or at least Maul and Dooku alive to the end. So if I don't divulge it and I play it as normal, this could be a terrible card to have. If like, oh, I need to play, oh wait, I'm in that position where Maul needs to attack, right? Like, so I hate the idea of playing on a command card that says that my Darth Maul can't attack. Like, he wants to attack. So I like, this one is a liability if you don't divulge it. So I'm not using that one. But I am using At Last. At Last is a fantastic, maybe the best 3-pip in the game. It's certainly a contender for one of the best. There's some really good 3-pips out there. But I love this because it's a 3-pip that turns into a 1-pip. And it gives Maul Jedi Hunter. It gives Maul an option of getting a wound, and he also gains an aim token. So it's just, it does a whole lot. Of course, it is only activating Maul because you get to, but basically this gives me a 1-pip for each of my my heavy hitters, and even though it counts as a 3 when I'm building it. Now this does leave me room for a 2-pip here, so I have the option of going with Supreme Commander or the Phantom Menace. I'm going to go ahead and go with Push in this case. Now, I know this might sound a little strange because I've got 3 named characters and I'm going with a generic card, but I want the flexibility that Push is going to give me. And I don't know who is going to die. Again, I already said that Maul's 2-pip could be a liability. This could hurt me if I ended up having to play it at a time where Maul needed to attack, which it might certainly be the case. And then Grievous may be dead before he gets a chance to play his Supreme Commander. So I think in this case, Push makes the most sense. Anybody will be able to trigger this, even if all 3, if I'm incredibly unlucky and all 3 die, I'll still have a 2-pip and a way to potentially try and get early access. And that's 2 units too, so maybe I can start a B1 chain with this or something like that if I need to do that. Really not as worried about the B1 chains with this particular list. And even the Stap Riders with their AI move, like, oh, I want them moving anyway. The idea here is I want them to move, shoot often, and so I have no problem with them doing AI move. So I think they're going to work very well. It was certainly a tough call on whether I wanted to do something like Droidekas or the Stap Riders, because the Droidekas also can go ball mode or wheel mode and go to speed 3, but I think the Stap Riders work a little better. I am going to also talk about the battle plan cards that we're doing here. For this one, I did go with key positions. It's nice to be able to kind of hold down that middle, wait until the last turn and then march in there at the very end, push some people away with Dooku, slice everybody up. Or maybe that's the time Grievous's 1-pip gets played if he manages to stay alive. Key positions can be a really nice one when you got 3 people who can step into the middle and kind of clear the board. Moisture Evaporators is going to work really, really well with Dooku and his ability to put barricades out there. The Moisture Evaporators, if I can block off your access to a Moisture Evaporator by putting a barricade in front of it, especially if it's placed like kind of in a crevice, that could be amazing. Or I move in there and do it, or I can also protect my own Moisture Evaporators by basically, once I get them to where they need to be, then I kind of seal off their access to them with a barricade, and then I don't have to have somebody protect them anymore. So I think that's going to work very well with this build. Breakthrough, I feel like Breakthrough is an option here between the Staps and then 2 Sith that have burst of speed. I have some interesting options of being able to surprisingly burst into my opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game. And then Hostage Exchange. I feel the B1s actually have a lot of hit points, so they may be harder to kill with the Hostage Exchange option, but I have some really fast guys who can easily walk into a core group and cut them in half and take that hostage. So I feel like Hostage Exchange would work well with 7 Sabers on the board. For deployments, I like battle lines. I'm always going to include battle lines just because it's convenient. That's usually how you're sitting at the table. Advanced positions seems to work too. That's usually fairly convenient. Major offensives is fairly convenient, and danger close. If a danger close could be particularly nasty, especially if I want to pop that Grievous 1-pip on the first turn. Move, and then shoot like your whole army if you bundle them up over somewhere close to me. So that could be a fun one as well. On to conditions. I definitely want to start off with limited visibility. I did say my one weakness here would be sniper poke, and that's going to help definitely, make things a little bit better. I'm going to go with fortified positions, one I don't normally choose, but since I want barricades all over the place for Dooku, I think fortified positions is going to work out pretty well. I'll go with supply drop since that's fun and could end up getting me some Bacta. And since I also have droids and vehicles, even if I end up getting arc welders or whatever, I think anything is going to work well in the supply drop option for me. And last but not least, I'm going to go with Minefield, or maybe least. I'm going to go with Minefield for this one because, again, I did say that Maul does want to have a wound on him, so I feel like I have an opportunity to use Maul to be able to clear out the Minefield, and then I have the luxury of saving his one pip to whenever I want. So I want Maul to get hit early on. And the Minefield is good for that. This way my opponent's got mines, but I turn my mines into benefits. If I can get Maul to clear a minefield for me, then my opponent still has to, they're probably not going to be wanting to get their guys wounded. So I like that idea, and I think that'd be a fun one to run here. And that's the build, guys. So I want to hear what you guys think. I'll put a link to this down in the video description below. I feel like there's a couple of changes that could be made, and I feel like I could potentially just drop Grievous from this list altogether and add more activations, but then it's not 7 Sabers, right? And then, so I wanted it to be a little bit fun, a little bit thematic, but also competitive. And I think if you're going to run all 3 of these guys, this is one way to do it, and I think it's got some winning potential, but I want to hear what you guys think. Don't forget to jump down into the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Hop in our Discord, too. I'd love to talk more Legion with you guys over there. We have a great family-friendly Discord. There's lots of links down in the description below, and big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing and help make this channel possible, so thank you for your continued support. I will talk to you later, and as always, may the Force be with you, and don't put your lightsaber away with it still switched on, because you might cut your leg off.